Now we're going to talk about reading sheet music. Now maybe this is a little daunting or scary to you, but we're going to break it down step by step, and you're actually going to see it's much easier than you might think. Sheet music is broken up into two things called clefs, a treble clef and a bass clef. And those two clefs are connected by a note. This is called middle C. All of our musical notes are named after notes of the alphabet. So this is our middle C. It connects the treble clef and the bass clef. Now, important note on the piano, middle C is the C again before the two black keys, and it's the C most towards the middle of the piano. And so here's how we can split the piano. Everything above middle C is treble clef on the sheet music. Everything below middle C is bass clef on the sheet music. As the notes of the sheet music go up, they go up on the piano towards the right side. And as the notes on the sheet music go down, they go down the left side of the piano. Each clef, treble and bass, both have 5 lines and 4 spaces. Now on these lines and spaces, we can put notes to signify what notes we want to play on the piano. It's just like reading a book, top to bottom, left to right. Except instead of words, we have dots, notes. Now we know where middle C is, but we want to know what the other lines and spaces are. We're going to take them step by step throughout this course before we get to chords. But right now, there's an easy way that we can remember with sentences and words. For example, the lines on the treble clef can be remembered with "every good boy does fine." And maybe you remember that if you took music classes in school. It's very common. Every good boy does fine. Now for the spaces of the treble clef, we have just one word, face, F-A-C-E. If we're looking at the bass clef, we also have a sentence for the lines and the spaces. The lines of the bass clef might be my favorite sentence. Good burritos don't fall apart. And that's very true. The best burritos shouldn't fall apart. The spaces are all cows eat grass. Now that we have the lines and the spaces in our head, and again, don't worry, we'll go over them together slower, we're going to break our two clefs into something called measures. All that measures do are what they're named. They measure the sheet music out into sections. This helps us not get too confused if we saw just a bunch of sheet music without any reference points. It also helps us communicate. If I wanted to say start from measure 4, you know exactly where you're going to start, and that wouldn't be possible without the measures. I'd have to point, which sometimes is impossible, like right now on an online class. I can't point at your page. Now over on the left side of the sheet music, you have something called a time signature. Now there are 2 numbers here. And the bottom number, we don't have to worry about in this masterclass. All that number does is it changes what kind of a note gets a beat. We're not going to play with that right here. What we are concerned about is the top number. The top number is going to tell us how many beats are in each measure. Now a beat can be fast, a beat can be slow, for fast songs and slow songs. Beats are just one count or one click. For example, if I wanted to play 4 beats on the piano, maybe I would play 1, 2, 3, 4. Or I could do it with multiple notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That would be 4 counts or 4 beats. 3 beats is exactly the same. You just count to 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So this top number is telling us how we're going to count our music when we're playing. Will we fit 4 beats into a measure or 3 beats into a measure? Finally, you can write notes in specific ways that tell you how many beats to hold that note down for. Now, I'll say that again. You can write notes no matter where they are on the sheet music, high or low. You can write notes in a specific way to tell the reader how many beats they're going to hold or play that note for. For example, this right here is called a whole note. It's called a whole note because it takes up the whole 4-beat measure. So when I see this note, I know I'm going to hold it for 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that counts whether it's a C or a G or an A. The pitch of the note will never change the timing of the note. How you write the note changes the timing of the note. Now, if I took this whole note and I added this little stem to it, now it's called a half note. And a half note, just like the name, takes up half of the measure. So if a whole note is 4 beats, the half note's going to be 2 beats. And so to play those, I would count 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Finally, if I filled in a half note, you'd have a quarter note. And by now you may have guessed it takes up a quarter of the measure. It's 1 beat. I can fit 4 of them into a measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the fastest type of note we're going to use in this masterclass. On the sheet music, we combine notes of different pitches and different timings. Sometimes we can put notes on top of each other to play them both at the same time. Instead of one single note, if I had them on top of each other, I might play 3 notes at a time, which is called a chord. We're going to talk about chords and learn them and use them to play songs later in the masterclass. For now, you know what you need to read sheet music for this course.